that lets you save.
Look here.
True Form Life.
Green look.
I think it's like who I am by nature. Like I'm always wanting to help people or make people's lives like easier. So it's kind of just sort of fit into that.
Welcome to Exploring Mind and Body with Drew Tadia. Drew is an expert in nutrition, fitness, lifestyle, and more. And he wants to help you live a healthier, longer, and more active life. Now here's your host, Drew Tadia.
Welcome to another edition of Nationally Syndicated Exploring Mind and Body. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in and being a part of our True Form Life community. We're coming at you with a brand new show. We appreciate whether you're listening on terrestrial radio across the country or as a podcast around the world. We certainly wouldn't be here without you. So stick around. We got all that coming up.
This is Exploring Mind and Body. Naturally improve your lifestyle one show at a time with your host, Drew Tadia.
Welcome to another edition of Nationally Syndicated Exploring Mind and Body. Without further ado, we have another fantastic guest coming on. So welcome to the show, Vanessa.
Thanks for having me.
It is our pleasure. All right, well, let's get into it. We got lots to talk about today. Tell us about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, my name is Vanessa Rossetto, and I am a registered dietitian. I'm actually the CEO and co-founder of Culina Health. And Culina Health is a telehealth nutrition platform. So we provide nutrition counseling. We use registered dietitians to do it, and we take insurance.
Awesome. So what does that entail? What are you guys doing at is it a clinic or a shop?
Yeah, well, so it's all virtual. So we do telehealth nutrition counseling. So much like, in recent time, people have been doing therapy visits via telehealth. It's the same, but we're providing nutrition education and counseling. So let's say you wanted to lose weight, for example, you would call us, we would check your benefits. And, most people do have insurance benefits for nutrition. They just don't know it. And then based on your, your sessions that you get, we would pair you with a dietitian that, is able to help you meet your goal. And we would see you on a weekly basis or bi-weekly basis just to get you to achieve whatever wellness goal you might have.
So you said that you would pair your customers. So you have a number of different practitioners working with you?
Yeah. So we have about 30 registered dietitians working with us.
Interesting. So how does that work? So I feel like, well, at least up here, where are you based out of?
I'm in New York.
New York. Awesome. Where in New York?
Well, I'm actually in Hoboken, New Jersey. So I'm just a little outside of Manhattan.
Okay. We love New York. We were, before everything, we go there. We were going there once a year. So for probably about 5 years. Yeah, we love it there. Very cool. So, okay. What I was going to say, I'm up in Canada right now. Okay. And it seems like in the holistic nutrition world, it's really hard for them to get a job. So is this offering, I don't know if it's difficult for dietitians to get a job, but is this helping them be employed as well?
Yeah, totally. Yes. So it's actually, that's interesting that it's hard for your dietitians to get a job. Here, it's not hard for them to get jobs because you can work in a hospital, which is really where a lot of people go after they finish school, because hospitals require dietitians to help care for patients. So when you're in the hospital, you see a dietitian regardless of your weight status. Just to, in the hospital, people are sick and they tend to not eat. So we want to make sure that they're eating. So you can work there, or you can work for yourself. You can have a private practice, or you can come and work for us. So yeah, it gives dietitians an opportunity to work and also work from home. In the hospital, you would see 100 people a week. Working for us, you'll see about 30 people a week.
And you don't have to leave your house.
That's right.
And how are people more open to these types of services online, or do you find that people really want to see someone in person?
It's so interesting that in the 2 years that we've been seeing people virtually, I've only had 2 people who were former patients of mine that wanted to see in person. After that, everybody is okay with being online. I think it's also because of COVID, you were starting to see even your physician online. Even I did. Like one time I had to see my gastroenterologist online. So I saw her online on Wednesday, and on Friday I was in her endoscopy suite getting an endoscopy. So it just like made it more efficient, and I'm still receiving good care. So I think for people who have had that experience, they know that they can still receive good care via the computer. So they're not as opposed to it as maybe they might have been previously.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, what were you doing before this?
Like in my life?
Yeah.
I actually went to school and studied history and got a master's in marketing. So I was working in television, like, ad sales before I decided to go back to school to become a registered dietitian. So that was probably 15 years ago.
That's interesting. I feel like I just interviewed someone that had a similar story.
Yeah.
That's funny. So, and what happened with the marketing? You decided that wasn't the right path for you?
Well, I went to school. I thought I was going to work, be a doctor or a nurse or something. And I really just wasn't that serious about school when I was in college. So I just wanted to study what I thought was going to be the easiest thing to get the best GPA. So I studied history, not realizing that I had to read 1,000 pages a week and write 10-page papers as just normal happenstance. So it kind of backfired. I did well, but it was just a lot of work. And I was just kind of young and trying to figure things out. So then when I really sat down and thought about it, I was well, I really want to help people, but I don't think I want to be a doctor, but I'm interested in nutrition. So maybe I'll just go check that out. So I took a couple of classes, and, one class turned into a series of classes, into a degree. And then here I am.
That's awesome. So, okay. So, and where does the passion come from helping people? Sometimes they interview people and them or their family member had some kind of major health issue. Did you have anything like that, or was it just a different angle that you're working towards?
Well, when I graduated from college, I was 50 pounds heavier than I am today, mostly because, my mother was cooking all my meals the day that I left for college and folding my laundry. And so I didn't really know a lot about food. And so now I went to Fordham in the Bronx, where it was just an abundance of chicken rings from White Castle and pizza and just whatever I wanted. So I was maybe free. So I didn't really understand how food affected my body. And then when I graduated from college, I moved back home to my parents' house for a short time, and I lost the 50 pounds in 2 months. And I didn't really understand why. I was just I guess it's because I'm not eating food from the street, which makes sense. And so then I went to a dietitian myself just to understand how it all happened. So I guess that sort of sparked my interest, but I think it's who I am by nature. I'm always wanting to help people or make people's lives easier. So this kind of just sort of fit into that.
Yeah, my wife and I just had this conversation she was talking about how she gained some weight early on, and we were joking about, I think we called it freshman 15 or something like that.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because you're in a house, you're in a household, and in most cases your parents are feeding you. And then it's you're out on your own. No one's telling you what to eat. No one's telling you shouldn't have pizza every night of the week.
Right. You're in control now, and you like that.
Right. And you do what you want because you can.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's fantastic. You were able to drop those pounds, but I feel like in most cases, people don't have that education or don't have the ability to see a dietitian, and they just continue to gain weight because they are never taught any different.
That's right. It's about, and I mean, I graduated from college in the year 2000. So we did not have social media, and we got all of our nutrition advice from Dr. Atkins. But now it's a different time. But I think now the time is even worse because you're just over flooded with information and you don't know what to do. But me personally, but as a dietitian, having kids, not that I tell my kids that food is good or not. I mean, my kids eat dessert every night of the week if they want, but they understand that, protein helps keep us full. So if I'm trying to be full because I know I'm not going to have lunch until 1 o'clock, I should probably eat an egg at breakfast instead of just like cereal because that's not going to hold me over. So they understand different things. And I also let them have like more autonomy over the food. So, I ask for their help. We talk through what we're going to eat for the day or the week or whatever. And so they're part of that. So I'm hoping that when they go to college, I'm sure they're going to eat plenty of pizza multiple times a week, but maybe they'll also eat a vegetable when they're away from me.
Or at least you hope water. So, right?
That's what I hope. Drink water. Can somebody drink water, please? This really would help.
Okay, so tell me about your philosophy. Everyone has something slightly different when someone comes in and sits across from you or pulls up their computer screen sitting across from you. Maybe let's talk about what's some of the main reasons people come and see you.
People come to see us because they have diabetes. They come to see us because they want to lose weight. They come to see us because maybe their, father died at age 40 and they're 45. And so they've lived longer than their father and they want to make sure that they don't have the same issues that maybe that parent had. Right. And so they're just coming to like understand food. Maybe they have some disordered eating and they want help around that. I think like the philosophy really is, what is the goal? And then we just need to align ourselves with that goal. Some people want to lose weight and that's probably fine. And some people just want to understand how they can eat for their diabetes. And some people want to heal their relationship with food. And some people want ideas around how they can eat more vegetables. So I think that deciding what's right for you as a person is always going to make you more successful rather than trying to follow what other people are doing.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so here's a concern. I started out in the personal training world and then people would come to me and I would say, well, what do you want? Like, what do you want out of these sessions? What can we work towards? And I feel like 80%, 90% would give me a blank stare and say, I don't know, lose weight. Like I feel like they know they're supposed to be healthy and they don't really know how to get there. So they may hire a dietitian or a trainer, not really knowing why they're there. So it was really difficult without that. Maybe I don't love the word goal, but because people get like, I feel like a lot of people just shut down. They're like, goals. I can't go after goals. Yeah. I like to call them achievements. At any rate, when you bring that up, I would often get this blank stare. Now, do you deal with that at all, or are people pretty clear when they come to you and know what they want?
I think people are pretty clear when they come to us. They think they know what they want. So, they'll come in and they'll be like, I used to be 190 pounds and now I'm 220 pounds and I want to be 160 pounds. And you're like, okay, well, let's hold on. Let's just see what's going on, right? So I had this one woman during the pandemic, she gained like 20 pounds or something. And she's like, I eat tiramisu, like a half of a tiramisu cake every night. I don't move my body. I barely eat all day and I don't feel good. So I was like, okay, fine. So, I helped her out. We talked through some strategies. She lost 20 pounds. Fairly simply, and it was great. And then she said, I want to lose another 20 pounds. And I was like, but why? You were behaving in a way that you didn't like, that was giving you results that you didn't like. So we made the changes and modified, and we got you to the place where you were generally happy. Why do you want to keep going? And she was like, oh, I guess that's right. So I think that's the thing. It's like they think they know what they want because it's nutrition. So it's a little bit like in their minds, like more like black and white. Like I want to lose weight, I don't want to lose weight, etc. So we just sort of guide them to a place of like things that are realistic, right? Like, they come in and they're like, I want to be a size 0. And you're like, when was the last time you were a size 0? And they're like, I was never a size 0. You're like, okay, well, then you're probably never going to be. And they're like, oh, okay. So it's just like bringing them back to reality and getting them, and saying like, but that's fine. Let's do something that you can actually do and feel good about. Most people seem to be okay with that.
Mm-hmm. And I have a big issue with weight loss in particular, only because I feel like it's an easy default to be like, people aren't really sure what they want, instead of being like, oh, I want to look in the mirror and feel great, or I want to put my clothes on and not feel horrible. But everyone defaults to weight loss. And the problem is when you're working towards that weight loss, they're excited for 3 minutes after they get on the scale, or disappointed. And then, or they're excited. And then they're disappointed because the next day they want to see the same, and lose 3 pounds tomorrow too. So that's my experience. I don't know if that's similar to what you guys do or slightly different, but when I see people so fixated on the scale, I feel like there's a whole lot of disappointment, because they're either going to be very disappointed because they don't lose right away, or they're going to be excited for a couple minutes and then disappointed shortly after because they feel like they should just keep losing every time they step on that scale.
Right. Well, it's because everybody's comparing themselves to somebody else. So like, I do think that this is the time in our lives that things are like much harder, because you have a lot of visibility into like what you think is like somebody's life. So like, you think you know what Jennifer Lopez does to be Jennifer Lopez and look like Jennifer Lopez. But like, I know people who know her personally, and, she's a Puerto Rican who doesn't eat rice, and she doesn't drink alcohol. And she's making a lot of sacrifices to look the way that she looks. And maybe you're not making those same sacrifices, which is fine. But like, then you just can't compare yourself to her. But we think that like, this is the North Star, this is the goal, so I need to behave in certain ways. And you're right. Or like, I watched The Biggest Loser, and those people lost 15 pounds a week. It's like, well, that was a very controlled environment. So like, you're living a regular life in a regular world with other stressors. And so you're not going to lose 4 pounds every time you get on the scale. And that's going to have to be okay. It's like really a lot of like behavior, like management modification, a lot of dealing with people's personalities on top of helping them understand food and how it affects them.
Mm-hmm. And expectations as well, right? Like you were saying.
Yeah.
It's really difficult to, why would one person, they have a completely different lifestyle, like could be a celebrity because they have a book out or they drink a green smoothie every day, and that same person tries to do that. And they can't figure out why it's not working for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I'd imagine you got to work on the mindset. We're talking about a bit here. What is something that you work on with your clientele that could help our audience that are listening now around mindset and expectations or goals and achievements?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's that, first of all, like, always stay in your own lane. Like, you don't need to compare yourself to other people. Like, what someone else is doing, like, you don't know what they're going through to do it. So just do your best, not, Drew's best or Vanessa's best. That's okay. And also, like, try to be realistic. If you never exercise, don't spend $400 on a gym membership because you think that's going to make you go and think you're going to get up every morning at 5 a.m. and go. I mean, you might, but maybe you should start just by trying to go at any time during the day for 20, 30 minutes and like sort of work your way up to it. It's kind of like when someone comes to me and they're like, I drink juice every day, so now I'm never going to drink juice. And I'm like, well, maybe we should start by just drinking juice this week every other day.
Right.
And then let's see where we end up.
Yeah.
And then, the reason that I tell people that is not because like, I don't trust them. Like, of course, like I believe in you. I know you can do it, but why don't you set yourself up for success? Because there's so much out there for you to feel bad about. So drinking juice every other day where you used to drink it every day is probably something you can achieve. And at the end of the week, when you've done it, you feel good about yourself. And so now you can take on the task of trying to drink juice every 2 days, right? Like, those are small goals, are more sustainable in the long term, and you will have more success. I think that's the way that people have to like reframe, and let's try not to think like, I don't know what perfection is for other people, but like, it doesn't have to be all or nothing.
Yeah, I love that all or nothing is, and I have that same experience as people would sit across from me and I'd say, we're all about slower. People don't like that word, but sustainable changes. And then they'd sit across from me. We'd have the very similar conversation. And they say, well, that doesn't work for me. I'm an all or nothing person. And I say, well, how far has that gotten you?
Right.
And, that's the first revelation. Like, oh, well, maybe that doesn't work for me.
Right. I always say like, well, you've been doing it your way and it hasn't worked. So let's just do it my way for the week and let's see what happens. And then they're kind of like, oh, okay. Or like, it's the mom that comes and she just had a baby. And then she's like, I've been trying to lose weight and I can't lose weight and I'm really frustrated. And I'm like, okay, well, first of all, your job right now, because your baby is like 3 days old, is to just feed your baby. call me back in 3 months. So we'll talk. And then when they call back in 3 months, then they're like, okay, well, I still haven't lost any weight. And I'm like, okay, well, it did take 9 months to gain the weight. So it's not going to take a week to come off. And they're probably like, oh, right. Oh, yeah. Right? Like, but the thing is that people don't think like that. So they need you to tell them and remind them. And then they are like, okay, yeah, got it. And then it sort of takes the pressure off because you're like, look, this is very simple. You got to look at it from this lens, a lens that you didn't think about.
So, okay, I got to tell you, I like what you said there earlier on. You keep saying realistic, like what's realistic. I don't think people know what realistic is. So, quick story. I know someone that bought this really cool exercise equipment, but they didn't work out before. And then they bought this like fancy, expensive exercise equipment. And I was like, do you work out? And they're like, no, that's why I got this thing. So I'm going to work, so I can work out. And I think like, I don't know how they got it a couple months ago. And I think they've used it twice.
Yeah. It's always the way. Always the way.
Well, that's what you're saying I don't know how that ties into realistic, but I suppose for you have to decide what's realistic to you.
That's right. It's that you know yourself. Like if you're somebody who hits the snooze button 50 times and you have to be at work at 7:30 and you don't get up until 7:15, why do you think you're going to go to a class every Tuesday and Wednesday at 5 a.m.? You're just not. It's true. It's not going to happen. Right. Like, so why do you have to aim for that? Why can't you? But you know that you have 2 hours for lunch. So just take one of the lunch out, the first hour of your lunch and go to the gym class.
Yeah.
Like we don't have to make our lives harder.
Right. So we got to do what fits into our lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then you can see you got to see consistency first, but you do what fits into your lifestyle, not someone else's. I'm sure in that situation, we have a friend just bought some piece of exercise equipment. They look ripped.
Right. So I'm going to do it.
Right. Or the same situation like you're talking about. Well, everyone goes to these 5 a.m. classes and they're super fit. So I should do that too, but that doesn't fit into their lifestyle at all.
Doesn't fit in because you have kids, you've got a dog, the dog needs an hour and 15-minute walk. I'm serious. My dog needs an hour and 15-minute walk. He's like a nightmare. So you just got to figure out what you can do and then do that thing. Mm-hmm. So you don't feel defeated at the end of the day.
Yeah. Is there any foods that you recommend staying away from in particular? Give me 3.
No, I don't have any.
No?
No, because somebody just asked me today, they were like, what do you think of this Starbucks drink that's 140 calories and 23 grams of sugar? And I'm like, well, anything that's 23 grams of sugar is probably not going to help your stomach. And if you're a diabetic, you should probably definitely stay away from that. And then the question after that was how do you make it healthy? And I'm like, if this is the drink that you want, you can have it. But if your goal is weight loss, then you probably can't have it every day. And if you're a diabetic, you definitely can't have it every day. It's like that, right? So, juice. I always tell people, don't drink juice because it's just going to rot your teeth. My kids don't drink juice. And when they go to birthday parties, they mainline the juice. And they don't eat anything else. And inevitably, the mom from the party will be like, your kids did not eat pizza or cake, but they drank 10 juice boxes. I'm like, I know. They're not allowed to have juice at home. That's the only thing that's off limits in my house.
That's so funny. Well, I'm a bit concerned about that because we live quite healthy. And we're like, well, what happens when they go, we just have a little one. What happens when he goes and to other people's houses and we don't have a TV? So what happens when he starts going and all his friends have TVs? What do we do?
Yeah, he's gonna be like, I want to go because we have TV. So my son is Rocco, so he's gonna be like, I want to go to Rocco's house. And you're gonna be like, what goes on at Rocco's house? It's gonna be like, well, there's TV there.
No juice, but they got TV.
Yeah, no juice. And I I let my kids on Halloween eat all the candy. So on Halloween, they eat all the candy. And my daughter will be like, oh, and she will not eat candy for the next 6 months. She just won't touch it. My son, the next day, I'll be like, yes, more Reese's. He can't, it doesn't work for him. So I have to, I do the things you have to have a vegetable at lunch and dinner. You have to have a piece of fruit with your lunch. You have to drink water, all of those things. So it's just a little bit more balanced and it works. My kids don't care. You could have cookies and of course they're going to eat the cookies if it's there, but maybe they'll have one and then they just kind of get over it. Or, you at Easter time, I always feel like Easter is like another Halloween. They get like tons of candy. And so like on Easter, they'll eat, however many chocolate bunnies. And the candy, it's like, now I'm going to start throwing it out because it's just like taking up space in the cabinet because nobody eats it. So because there's no charge around it and because it's available to them, they don't like have to have it. So they don't care. But the juice thing is like, it's like a drug. It's just all they want is juice. There's a neighbor upstairs, Jackson. He gets to have all the juice he wants. They're like, can we go to Jackson's house? And they come home and they have like purple mustaches and they have grape juice.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
It's really funny. But I don't say anything because I'm just like, well, it's fine. Like it's not in my house. I'm not giving it to them. And so they're not doing it all the time. It's okay. But no, like I'm not paying for the dental bills. Just no.
Not doing it.
Nope, not doing it.
That's great. All right, Vanessa, we do have to wrap things up here. I wanted to ask you something on a more personal level.
Sure.
Well, yeah, I told you we visit New York quite often, and you're quite close, right?
Yeah,
I think we even went to an area you're in. But at any rate, I always wondered what it was like to live there because we've only been there for maybe 5 days at a time.
Yeah,
and it's like crazy, busy, magical. It's like we love it. It energizes you, but then we're exhausted because it's so much at one time. And I thought, what would it be like to live in a city like this? So I thought, since I have you here, maybe you could shine some light on that just for a minute or two.
Yeah, like I'm like pretty well traveled, and New York is definitely like the epicenter of the universe, right? Like you can get whatever you want, whenever you want. It's amazing, right? And it's just like the vibe is great. And you can walk into like anywhere in New York City and like meet a best friend. And it's great. But yeah, it can be like intense also because it's just like moving super fast all the time. And during COVID, I wasn't in the city that much. And so now recently I've been going back more. And so like when you're not there, you're like, yeah, I'm fine. I don't need to be in New York City. Like, I don't care, whatever. And then you go in and you're like, no, this place is amazing.
I missed it.
I missed it so much. Did you miss it? Yeah, like I missed all the bums on the corner. I missed the smell, the concrete. I just like missed this place. But I'm very appreciative to New York City because there's access to like food, drink, clothes, but like very good care. Whatever you need to be the best version of yourself is here. And so I love that. But I also love that I live across the river, so I can kind of also relax and get away from the noise as well. So it's best of both worlds.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Sounds like you can dip your toes in there when you like and then take a step back if you need to get out.
That's right.
That's fantastic. Before I let you go here, Vanessa, is there anything that you wanted to mention, maybe more specific to our topic? not New York City.
Yeah, no, I mean, New York City is great. Like we're accessible. You can use your insurance benefits, find us on Instagram and give us a call. Fantastic.
Okay. And then how are we getting a hold of you? You guys are on social media. Can we get a handle and then a website maybe?
Yep. Our handle is at Culina Health, at Culina Health. And our website is www.culinahealth.com.
Okay, wonderful. We'll definitely direct people your way. That was a blast. Thank you so much, Vanessa. I appreciate your time coming on the show.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
All right, that's going to wrap things up for this edition of Exploring Mind and Body. Once again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in and being a part of our True Form Life community. You can always find us on Facebook.com/TrueFormLife. We post up there a couple times a day on our story. We're always trying to bring you more content around living a healthy lifestyle, whether that be nutrition, fitness, lifestyle, and more. We also have free challenges that we do at least once a month. So if you follow us along there, you'll be able to join maybe a plank challenge or a squat challenge, Tabata challenge, whatever it may be. We'd love to have you join us. We're also on Instagram.com/DrewTadia. Again, we're posting up there a couple times a day along with our story, all dedicated to keeping you fit and healthy and on track. Our main website is trueformlife.com. If you want to check out some of our products, some of our services, or if you just want some great content from videos to blog posts and recipes and more, we got all that at trueformlife.com. Once again, thank you so much for being here. That's it. That's all I got. I'm out of here. As always, I'm your host, Drew Tadia, in health and fitness for a better world. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Exploring Mind and Body with Trueform Life's Drew Tadia, fitness expert. To find out more about the show, Drew Tadia, or to listen to past shows, visit exploringmindandbody.com.